Hello, fellow crypto enthusiasts. Today, I want to go over all the forks, hard forks of Bitcoin and some other things that derived that originally went from Bitcoin and shifted off and forked from another fork, right? A fork of a fork. So, we're going to go over some of these different forks and see what their use cases are potentially here. All right, let's dive in. So, obviously, Bitcoin was the first and the original one out there. And then from that, you had a myriad of other ones. So you had Bitcoin Private, which came out in 2018. You had Bitcoin Diamond, which came out in 2017. Bitcoin Gold, which has been around for a little while here since 2017. You also have Bitcoin Silver, it came out in 2018, and Bitcoin Cash, which is the most successful hard fork, which came out in August of 2017. Litecoin came off of, it was a fork off of Bitcoin as well. Charlie Lee created that to basically be silver where Bitcoin is gold. Now, also off of Bitcoin, one of the earlier ones, actually in 2013, is Digibyte. And Digibyte was created by Jared Tate, and he was developer, and he created it as a fork. It's a completely voluntary blockchain. There's nobody permanently in charge of it, right? There's a group of people that maintain it. With that brings some risk, right? If you may not have full-fledged adoption, it could be abandoned and become worthless. So that's why it's so cheap. That's why it's a little bit over a penny. It's been under a penny for a pretty long time as well. But I wanted to go over some of the use cases, where they could come into play, which ones could become valuable down the road, which ones are likely to be abandoned down the road. So Bitcoin Cash, which has had an all-time high of around $4,500, and that came in around 2017, 2018 or so. And I think the last cycle high was around 12, 13, maybe close to 15. It should get around 15 again this cycle as well. I'm looking at it for down the road next cycle where I think it gets potentially more adoption to it. Wanted to go over the speed of these different blockchains and where they could become valuable. So Dogecoin, which is of course Elon Musk's favorite, Department of Government Efficiency stands for as well. That was a fork off of Litecoin. So this was a fork of a fork. It was created as a joke, but it's become very popular and widely held now. And I also own a bit of it as well. And it has a lot of use cases. So if you look at the speed is around 40 transactions per second, where Bitcoin is 4.5 to 7 transactions per second. So it is pretty quick, and it is relatively inexpensive. If you look at it, very, very inexpensive. The gas fees are extraordinarily low. But the best, if you're looking at all of these as what is the cheapest and fastest blockchain, that would be Digibyte, with an average speed of around 560 transactions per second. And you can see how inexpensive it is, fractions of a penny to do a transaction. So this could become very, very popular. Litecoin is another one that was also used for transactions pretty heavily by a lot of different people in crypto space. A penny to 10 cents for a transaction, which is pretty inexpensive. And it could do 56 transactions per second, which is more than Doge, right? So it is faster than that. Now let's go to why I think Bitcoin Cash could become extremely popular, and it probably will be modified down the road. So it can do between 60 and 120 transactions per second, and is very inexpensive, a penny to 10 cents to do a transaction. So you could do this for a cup of coffee, right? You could use Bitcoin Cash for a cup of coffee. It's going to take a little while for it to get to the end seller. The seller, yeah, then seller for short, as compared to Digibyte, which is going to be a little bit quicker here, 560 transactions per second. And of course, XRP will probably be the quickest, and XLM, and there'll be other ones out there that are much faster. But these, I think, are going to be very valuable for the long term. And if you think about Bitcoin Cash, it's just like Bitcoin. There will be only 21 million ever mined, right? And it is a mined crypto, as are all of these right here. These are all mined, proof of work, not proof of stake, proof of work, which means they need to be mined, and you need to have enough of these miners to keep the blockchain going. That's why there's always a risk they could fall apart. And I think the biggest, riskiest one is Digibyte. I've owned Digibyte. I don't hold much right now. I think if I do, it's fractions. It's not much at all. But I'm thinking about getting more of it for next cycle should it stay around. Doge, like I said, I'm going to keep. I have Litecoin. Bitcoin Cash is one I'm in, and I'm going to buy more of that after this cycle when we hit the next cycle low, 2026, 2027 timeframe. So that's where I'm looking at with these different cryptos. There's some great use cases for them, good potential. They are risky, right? Bitcoin is the most widely adopted. There's a reason it's been as high as 109,000 and is currently on its way towards a new all-time high of somewhere between 120 and 135,000 by, let's say, April, May, early June at the latest. And I think it's more likely to be in that March, April timeframe. More likely March, in my opinion. I think it's going to get there fairly quickly. Trump administration is doing a lot of different things to really push and adopt it and looking to do reserves. So I think it's going to ultimately help it. But some of these other cryptos are going to gain favor. And obviously, Dogecoin is one that's going to be widely used. It's used by Elon Musk, and he wants to potentially use it for Twitter, for X. So lots of use cases coming up with a lot of these different cryptos. Figure out which one you like best. Do your research on them. There's some phenomenal information out there on them. Go to CoinGecko, do some research, go to their own websites and do research. And there's a big, for each of these, for whether it's Litecoin, there's Litecoin conference each year. I don't know if there's Dogecoin conference, but there's a big following of people that hold and like Dogecoin. Digibyte has its own smaller community. As I said, it's the riskiest, but it's another potentially good long-term play for transactions down the road. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you click the like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.